The new Syracuse City budget starts next week, July 1st, which is when all those budget cuts will start to take effect.
And among the $16+ million in reductions is about $2.5 million cut to the Syracuse Fire Department. Joining us now is Syracuse Fire Chief Michael Mons. Thanks for being in studio with us. Lots to talk about.
Thanks for having me today.
So, Chief, when we talked to Joe Cecil recently, just a couple of weeks ago, about these budget cuts, he described policing under this budget will, quote, be different. How would you describe running a fire department in the city of Syracuse under the budget you now have to deal with?
Well, it's definitely going to be different, and I know in the media there's been a lot of talk about proper management of budgets. I just like to start off with a few facts about our department. For 7.5 years since I've been the chief, money that's been allocated through the mayor's office and the common council, we've come within 1% of underspending that budget over my 7.5 years. So when the discussion is about mismanagement of money, I can say our fire department and our team has fiscally manage our budget responsibly. We make sure every dollar goes to protect our firefighters, to do their job, and public safety as a whole. So I think we've done a great job with managing the budget. To your question, these budget cuts are very impactful on our department. There's money that used to be in the budget to actually pay for training, our mandated fire training, EMS training, training for our special operation folks who do hazardous materials, technical rescue, supervisor training, command level training. Our command staff needs to be able to, have classes and be taught certain things so they can run incidents properly, and that money's been cut. Our operation is going to suffer from that right now. Other things like community outreach are going to be impacted also.
Let's talk about the difficulty in the decision making that you had. So he left it up, the mayor left it up to department heads to cut where you could cut. And I imagine you went line by line looking at places to cut.
Yes.
How difficult was that? And what do you think the impact's going to be?
I think my #1 challenge is always to make sure our firefighters have what they need so they can answer the calls to our constituents who need our help. We're at a time with record-breaking call volume. The amount of structure fires is really, really high. We're on pace to almost have 90 major structure fires this year, along with our record-breaking call volume over the last few years. And when you throw in the economic development that's going on in our city, my main priority when I'm going through our budget is to make sure that the money that I do have is allocated to firefighter safety so they can protect our constituents at the time of their emergencies.
What would you, as best you can, you detailed a lot of the training, and I mean that is so critical to what you do in police, anybody in that sector. You don't just do it when you join and then you don't ever do it again. Yes. Besides the training, what kinds of other things? Could you list them here, or would we have to give you the whole rest of the half hour?
Well, there are so many things. I wish I had a piece of paper to read off of, but I think there's a lot of different cuts. $2.5 million is a lot of money that we are not going to have in our budget at this time. I was told informally at some point we can go back and ask for more money. I think that process, I look forward to engaging on the formal process of that, because right now it critically impairs my ability. One of my priorities is to be prepared and make sure our firefighters are prepared to train and to respond to emergencies, which, the more prepared you are, you can have better outcomes for the people that are calling 911, and it then in turn gives them the opportunity to recover faster. So having a budget that's unknown in the future really decreases my ability to prepare and plan. And our whole command staff, like I said, every year we spend our budget under what we get every year, and we're able to be impactful to make sure the firefighters have what they need. So I hope that answers that question.
It did answer. What do you think it's going to hurt the most internally?
I think our training, I can speak about that for days. You're going to have less trained firefighters showing up at emergencies. They do a good job. We had 2 structure fires today, and they do a tremendous amount of good work, and I can't speak enough about the dedication our firefighters have. My responsibility is to make sure they have the tools and equipment to do their job, and we're going to have less tools, less equipment with this budget as it stands. When the equipment breaks, fire trucks break. As you all know, inflation has been through the roof, over 20% over the last several years, and so we're doing more with less, and that's never good. And we're just making sure that line isn't stretched too thin where it becomes a danger.
I mean, obviously, I don't want to frighten people that you're not going to be, because when the call goes out, you'll be there. But there are going to be things that the public will notice. So what are some of those things that maybe you can't do anymore for
Well,
them?
training encompasses a lot, and like I said, just to be well trained when there's lives in the balance or there's emergencies, not only do you have to be trained, you have to perform. And being able to do all that with less money is going to be a challenge. Some of the other things that the community are going to see less of are public outreach, our fire education to all age groups, from our children to our elderly. That money right now is not in the budget. Fire code enforcement after hours for things like the Westcott Street to make sure public assemblies are safe after hours. That's not in the budget currently right now. Things like recruiting to make sure our fire department reflects the diversity of the city, which we've done a great job. Some of the most diverse classes we've hired since I've been the fire chief, and we're not going to be able to recruit like I want to right now. That money's not in the budget. I think one of the things that is pending right now, fireworks, professional fireworks. We need to have one of our certified fire marshals on scene to have oversight of those professional fireworks. And right now, that's not in the budget. I have a meeting with the mayor, and the last thing the mayor wants, or I want, is to not be able to have professional fireworks, which will lead to people and other of our constituents lighting fireworks, which no doubt will lead to increased injuries and possibly more fires. So we're just trying to work through these budget implications, and I'd rather not spend money that I didn't have on non-mandated things, because I have these mandated trainings that I also don't have money for. So the dilemma is, what do I spend money on if it's not in my budget? And every year before, we always presented a responsible budget. It was approved by the mayor and the council, and we had money to do all these things. This year is a little different. I'm up for the challenge because at the end of the day, I want to make sure our firefighters have what they need to protect the people of our great city.
And right now, you are going to fund the marshals for the fireworks shows. Right now,
yes.
It's in the budget, so you have to have the fire marshal there in order to have fireworks
yes,
shows.
4th of July is going to start after the budget year.
Gotcha.
So technically, the money's not in there for that. We're saving our money to be able to respond to 911 calls when firefighters are off. But we're going to make this work. We want to do everything we can and prioritize safety for the public and our firefighters.
Bigger discussion we're going to have you back on, but I just want to ask you quickly, longer term things like Station 12. There was a plan to reopen that. Does this impact that at all?
No impact to that. I think it was stated when the budget cuts came through that staffing for police and fire were going to remain constant. So our staffing for this initiative is going to be stable, and we're going to move forward with that on July 2nd.
Okay. All right. Quick question for you. I know you had 2 fires today.
Yes.
How are your crews holding up with this heat?
Today was a difficult day. We had a fire on East Seneca Turnpike, another fire on the corner of Graves and Highland Street. Last I knew, before I came down to sit with you, we had 3 firefighters that had heat exhaustion. One of them was transported to the hospital. So today was a tough day. We had firefighters and fire stations from all across the country were busy around the same time, and they also had other alarms going on at the same time. And it's one of the reasons of having Engine 12. We're at a record, our emergency calls that are required by the people are at an all-time high, and being able to handle these calls is very challenging. And having another engine company, we're only adding 3 more people on duty, but to have those 3 extra people on duty to give these other firefighters relief during times like today is going to be crucial.
Chief, we appreciate the discussion. We definitely got a lot more to talk to you about, so we'd like to have you back again sometime soon. Thank you, Chief.
You're
appreciate
welcome.
it.
Okay.